It's the legendary Brent Musburger.
You are looking live at the Los Angeles Coliseum.
It's Christopher Mad Dog Russo.
I don't know what you can't understand about this. It's pretty obvious.
These two icons will put their talents to the test each week as they go head-to-head and duke it out for gridiron supremacy. You can hear My Guys in the Desert with Brent Musburger weekdays from 6 to 8 Eastern on the Vegas Stats and Information Network, Sirius XM 204.
How are you, my friend? Are you howling, Mad Dog? You sounded good, man.
And you can hear Christopher Mad Dog Russo weekdays at 3 p.m. Eastern Time on Mad Dog Sports Radio, Sirius XM 82.
For you to sit there is ridiculous. Nobody wants to hear this.
The lines are moving and the money is flying.
Show me the money!
Let the battle begin. Here they are. It's Mad Dog and Musburger.
And Mr. Musburger, of course, as we start today. Vinny, our little pal, is restored. The casinos took a bath last Sunday, by the way. We'll get to that with Vinny. Have some laughs. I'm going to say a little Brent. Brent, welcome. How are you today, buddy? Okay?
Mad Dog, you're the hottest handicapper in America.
We sent our little buddy out. Listen to you. We sent our little. I hear you were a very pleasant, as I knew you would be. You saw our buddy Father Rob. Vinny always is good to Father Rob.
Yep.
And we collected for a change, which is nice to see, was it not?
Exactly. He brought a duffel bag in here. I mean, it was unbelievable. The dog is on fire, everybody.
I'll tell you one thing, Brent. I went 6-0 down the stretch with you,
know.
and I won the regular season,
Whoa.
Brent.
I know.
You're gonna have to send me the Mrs. Australia this next go around instead of Vegas.
Holy Toledo! And just to rub it in, you picked the Chiefs to cover that 14 against my Raiders. Good job, lad. Good job.
Speaking of the Raiders, what's your take on Mike Mayock being hired as the general manager? Let me hear your thoughts on that. Go ahead.
A good hire. He and Gruden get along famously. Mayock, a very hard-working guy, studies players, knows the kids who are in college. I think it was a tremendous hire on the part of the Raiders as they approach 3 first-round draft choices next April, as you know, Mad Dog. So I'm all behind Mike being the general manager.
All right, who's gonna? I mean, listen. I know Gruden's got the final say, but he's gonna listen to what Mayock tells him on draft day with those 3 first-rounders, Brent.
Yeah, the one thing about the first round, it obviously gets very political with every team in the NFL. Ownership, they get involved in it. Where you really separate yourself is in the lower rounds, Mad Dog.
Yes.
And with 3 first rounds and the Raiders being where they are, I would say trade one of the 2 down the road. Remember, they own Dallas's and the Bears. Trade one of those out for even fewer picks because your guys, the guys who make their money as general managers, 3, 4, 5, 6, and those teams that draft well down there, that's the difference, okay? And those are the kind of kids that I think Mike will know a lot about.
All right, we'll get to Vinny in a sec. What is your take, Brent? And you love the TV stuff like I do, and you lived it for years. The college football situation right now, they play the championship semis on a Saturday. It's very hard to get into the other games after those 2 are played. You throw in the idea that it's always Alabama, Clemson. I think that's a problem. You had that BC Boise thing, which to me was a disgrace. Canceled the game. All those families went to the game, and there was no game after 30 minutes. ESPN maybe wanted to move on. What is your take on where we stand right now as far as the college football bowl season was concerned?
Well, the reason why the semifinals are played before the championship is that the Rose Bowl has it in its contract that it must be played on January 1st, and the Sugar Bowl does too. I don't know that for a fact, but I do know it for a fact about the Rose Bowl. It's a little convoluted, and to tell you the truth, the 2 semifinals and the championship game should always be your last 3 college games of the season. If we had just gone through Clemson beating Notre Dame and Alabama hanging on against Oklahoma, and those were the last 2 visions that all of us had as fans, we would be far more interested in Monday night's game. Now, come Monday night, there will be an enormous amount of interest in the gambling community because it's Game 5 of a tremendous overall weekend. They have to They have to enlarge the number of teams. Once you go to a playoff, I've been saying this ever since they did it, once you go to a playoff, there's no turning back. And you need to get to 8 teams. Your conference winners should be in there. One of the little guys should get a chance. And you need to play the quarterfinals on the campuses on these great stadiums around the country. And then go to the semi and the finals as your last 3 games. I know it's a major blow to the Bulls, which have been so good and still should exist. We should still have these other teams that don't qualify for the playoffs eligible to go to Bulls, which are played earlier in December. And then you would pick this up. But until they get there, there will always be the problems. Now, at least with the semifinals, Mad Dog, this year, they were not on New Year's Eve. They pulled them out, and they had them on a Saturday afternoon. So certainly from the gambling community out here in Las Vegas, they like that a lot more than betting games on New Year's Eve. New Year's Eve, for the large part, it belongs to wives, girlfriends, significant others. It's a great date night in America. You celebrate the turning of the calendar. You do not want to have your big events on New Year's Eve.
All right, Vinny, our pal there, good to talk as usual to you. Is this Alabama-Clemson game going to be bet as heavily as the other 4 games this weekend?
It'll be bet as heavy, Mad Dog, and I will tell you this, it'll have probably a bigger decision given its position in the week. Remember, it's the 5th game of the weekend, and it's on Monday. Everything from Sunday will be rolling to that game. So we're booking it. We're treating it just like we would these NFL playoff games. That's how big this game is. By the way, and congratulations. You're hotter than the Mirage volcano, my friend.
Yeah. Now, you are allowed at South Point, Vin, you are allowed to parlay something NFL to college, are you not?
Absolute parlays, teasers, everything. It's all the same. So very fortunate in that regard, and we welcome that. So you could start with the Colts-Texans game tomorrow, and every game in between that and the title game on Monday night, for sure.
And you guys had, I know for a fact, as you told our little buddy Rob, you had a rough Sunday, right? Because all the favorites won. You always tell me the Sunday's the gravy game at night, and they all put the money on the Colts. Blaine Gabbert, the whole 9 yards. You adjusted the line a little bit, but Gabbert's not beating Luck, and you got buried on Sunday night, correct?
Yeah, that was absolutely true. It was all about the Colts, and it was about the Colts and the over, and that was the success of the bettors there. So we tip our cap to them and know that everybody's back this week. And ever since that game, the folks have been betting these games. So it was beautiful that these games we were able to post these games through New Year's, and not only was there action on these games combined, these 5 games themselves, but don't forget the games on New Year's Day have been involved with these games already as well.
All right, so we got everything moving here, too. Brent, now, we do a nice little system come playoff-wise, so give us a little more time to pick the games. Tell the audience how we're going to do this here as far as I'm up a game, so I got a lot more work to do. We do it via points now. Give the audience a little rundown on that. Go ahead.
Yeah, this is called a confidence pool, and we're going to include Alabama and Clemson. And just for the audience, I'll give you the 5 favorites. The Texans opening up against the Colts. Texans -1. Cowboys -2 versus Seahawks. Ravens -3 versus Chargers. Bears -6.5 versus Eagles. And Alabama -5.5 versus Clemson. Now, the game that Mad Dog likes the most, let's say that he picks the Cowboys, that's worth 50 points. In other words, he has more confidence in the Cowboys to cover the 2 against the Seahawks than any other game on the board. And we take it down from 50 points, 40 points, 30 points, 20 points, and then the game that you have the least confidence in is worth 10 points. Obviously, we could wind up picking the same 5 teams, but that is very, very unlikely, okay? So that's how we do it. We call it a confidence pool, and we have 5 games involved because we have thrown in Monday night's Alabama-Clemson championship. We're using the numbers that are up on the board right now here at the South Point at the tip of the strip here in Las Vegas.
And it's a great spot. Great job, Brent. I started because I got a chance. I won the regular season, so only fair. Brent agrees.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I start here, and I will put my 50 points on the Bears. It's -6.5. I have the most confidence in Chicago. I think the Eagles are going to hit a wall. I think the Bear defense will be very, very good. I think that, I think I'm a little worried about Foles' injury. I think the Bears finished the season beating the Rams, beating Green Bay, knocking off Minnesota with nothing on the line. I think this is a very, very dangerous team. I can even see the Bears beating the Rams. I think that's an easy one. I think that's the easiest game to pick all weekend, even though it's 6.5. I'll put my 50 on Chicago. That's my first pick.
All right. Obviously, Vinny and I, we have huddled up, and for our 50-pointer, we are going to go with ready for this, the Houston Texans.
Wow.
-1. Public money coming in by the sackful on the Colts. I understand it completely why people like the comeback story. It's interesting. They have split 2 games this season. Each of them has won the game on the other team's field. Now, in the 2 games, the Colts lost the turnover battle in both meetings, 3-1 overall, but they did outgain the Texans in both games, all right? And the market obviously feels that the Colts should be undefeated. But there's another bias that I have, and the reason why we're going on Houston. Indianapolis was forced to play at Nashville on Sunday night. Mad Dog, Vinny, everybody knows I do not like teams on back-to-back road trips. It's a short week for the Colts. They've got to turn around. They've got to go down to Houston. So we're going to put our 50 points on the Texans -1.
That's a good one, Brent. I can see that. A tough game. It's tough for me here. I got 2. I'll put 40 on Alabama. I think that Bama's going to win. I will go 40 on Alabama because I'm still not convinced on the Clemson schedule. The ACC stinks. Notre Dame didn't belong. Texas A&M 28-26. I think Bama really only had the one brutal game. I think they've had the much tougher run through the SEC West. They were sloppy enough last Saturday to get Nick's attention, which means Saban will beat home to him about penalties and all those things, and in the red zone. I understand the quarterback is good, this kid, the freshman, so that worries me, Lawrence. And you need a good quarterback to beat Alabama, and they're very familiar with the Crimson Tide. I get that. But Clemson could play well and still not cover. I think Alabama's going to win the game, so I'll put 40 on the Crimson Tide in game number 2.
Solid pick by the Mad Dog. Now, here's where picking second actually is a little bit of an advantage in a confidence pool. I don't want the Bears to get away from me, so I'm going to put them in the 40 spot. If we both cover, obviously I lose 10 points, but I don't want to lose more than that. And
great point.
Dog,
Great point.
Looking here at the defensive categories, the Bears have given up only 17.7 points a game, first in the NFL, intercepted 27 passes, first in the NFL, 6 defensive touchdowns, first in the NFL. They also lead in rush yards per game and in passer rating. So, like the dog, I'm all in on the Bears, -6.5. The difference is how many points we're going to get with a Bear win.
All right, well done, Brent. Smart calculations there. I'm going to take Dallas with my third one. No Amari Cooper in game week 3. Obviously, Earl Thomas played in week 3. Now the Cowboys have Cooper. The Seahawks don't have Thomas. Seattle's 4 road wins this year. At Oakland, at Arizona, at Detroit, at Carolina. The Cowboys only lost 1 game at home all season long to Tennessee. I think Dallas will get the job done here. Ezekiel Elliott, obviously, with Cooper. They got a good defensive front. The Seahawks do not have a good offensive line. Now, this game could be right there at the end. Russell Wilson scares the hell out of me. I buy that. But I got to come up with somebody as my third choice. I'll make it Dallas in their building, +30. That's game number 3.
Okay, and another strategic move. I happen to agree with Mad Dog. I think he's 100% right about Alabama. I'm going to take them as the 30-point team, -5.5. I think that the long trip out to the West Coast, this is not a comfortable spot for Southern teams, but Nick Saban has had a lot more experience in coming to the far West, Rose Bowls in years past and everything. I believe he will have Bama ready. I love the Clemson quarterback, but I have not yet seen a freshman quarterback who can dominate Nick Saban's defense in a big game. I'll ride with Alabama -5.5, worth 30 points for our side.
Boy, Brent is great. Isn't he, folks? If you just let Brent talk, I can keep my mouth shut. I'll take the Ravens at plus 20. I'm sorry, the Chargers at plus 20 in my fourth pick. I'm not confident in this game, but I want to root for L.A. in a worse way. I think a second look at that defense will help, obviously, Rivers. I did not like the Raven performance last week. The Browns had them beat late in the game. Ravens were very fortunate and got a whistle on that sneak by Jackson, which saved them. I think the Chargers, it's time for Rivers to make a postseason run. I'll put 20 points on San Diego/LA in my fourth contest.
So here's where it gets interesting, and here's where I deviate, looking to pick up points. What I'm going to do here is I'm going to take the opposite side of the Cowboys, and I'm going to take the Seahawks and Russell Wilson. Pete Carroll and the Seahawks, they have traveled well. After the first couple of games of the season, they got their act back together. But Russell Wilson and Pete Carroll, they have been lights out in prime time. This is a Saturday night game down in Arlington, Texas. So I'm going to take the Seahawks plus 2 against Mad Dog's Cowboys.
Well, that's going to be the game that's going to decide this opening week. And obviously, my last one's the Colts. I have the least amount of confidence in this game. That's why I took it. This game to me is a complete toss-up. I like the Indy run. I like Frank Reich. I think Luck's better than Watson. I think the Texan defense a little overrated. And I have a good offensive line. But again, this is a very tricky game. I could go either way. I'm not as confident as Brent is. He loved it. I don't. I'll take plus 10 on the Texans.
All right. So there's your 10-point game.
Texans. On the Colts.
You got the Colts. You got the Colts getting a point. There's the Mad Dog. And we're going to differ on 2 games. And if it was still 2.5, I would have boosted this game up. I'm going to go with the Ravens against the Chargers because of that East Coast time. It's an early Sunday start. That means the Chargers have to go to work at 10 o'clock. And Mad Dog, I know you like to take an occasional side here. Let me recommend, seriously, the Ravens in the first half, -1. Now, I know that's not what we're doing in our competition, but I love the numbers of West Coast teams, how poorly they do with that 10 o'clock start, especially in the first half. Now, I know that Jackson is just a rookie. The Chargers have had a look at him. They should be able to defend his running ability with more skill than they demonstrated down at StubHub. But I am going to ride with the Ravens at -3, and that's my 10-point game.
Brent, you can't do a better job than that. Vinny, whatever you did, he was superb today. I'll tell you that.
Well done.
What a job. Well done.
Well done,
we
both
got
of you
rush.
guys.
The both of us got to run. That's a great system. We'll play again next week. Vinny, enjoy it. Win a lot of money this week, Vinny. And
Take
Brent,
care.
we love you. Keep up the good work, pal.
All right,
Appreciate
Mad
it.
Dog. Cash a few tickets, my good friend, and he's the best. And we'll take a break, and I'll come back with Vinny right now. VSiN.com, SiriusXM 204. Card with the Mad Dog versus Brent. Vinny, take everybody through 5 picks apiece.
There you go. Confidence pool. First pick for Mad Dog. The Bears, -6.5. He went with Bama, -5.5 as his second pick. The Cowboys in the 3-hole at -2. The Chargers +3 and finished up with the Colts +1. Brent, your number 1 pick. Texans -1. Bears are your second selection at -5.5, followed by Alabama in the third spot, -5.5. Number 4, the Seahawks +2, and then 5, the fifth spot, the Ravens -3.
So there we have it.
There it is.
5 against 5, and 50 points for the team that you're the most confident in, only 10 points for the team you're the least confident in.
50, 40, 30, 20, and 10. There it is. Confidence pool. Well, good way to go.
That rascal beat us again in the
He went
regular
6-0.
season.
Like I said,
6
to him,
down the stretch.
he's hotter than the volcano up the street at the Mirage.
No wonder he had
I
that
love
guy
this
with
guy.
the duffel bag. You know what I'm saying?
That's
right. That is blazing right now.
He is on
When we
fire.
come back, Ron Flatter will have an update at the top of the hour, and then we'll get ready. Amal Shaw will join Vinny and me. My Guys in the Desert coming up next.